So I always like to share my ups on my YouTube channel, but I'm definitely not afraid to share my downs. And this right here is the only thing I have left of my Mavic 2 Pro. Now, I want to preface this video off by saying it was totally my fault. It's totally pilot error. In no way was it DJI's fault. The drone didn't just magically fall from the sky. It was totally my fault. I don't want to seem like I'm giving DJI a bad rep because at the end of the day, it was just an error that happened because of the actions that I was doing. So this is kind of going to be like a boring video, more of a long-winded video. I always like to share what happens with my drones with you guys because I know that some of you are interested in that kinds of stuff, but I also know some of you are here for just informational stuff. So at the end of this video, I'll provide some information, but first I need to provide a little bit of backstory about what happened to my Mavic 2 Pro. Now, the weather up here in Connecticut really hasn't been all that favorable for drone flying. As you can see behind me, it's raining today, and yesterday it was cloudy, which wasn't giving me the optimal lighting conditions, so I didn't want to shoot any photos or videos, but I still wanted to fly my drone, so I did a range test. With Oxygen 2.0, I really wanted to see how far I could push this drone, and with a huge body of water, the Long Island Sound right behind the house I'm staying at, I figured it'd be a perfect time to do so. So I put the drone up, and I just flew a straight line out, probably about 100 feet up in the air was my altitude, and I started a screen recording when I was out about 10,000 feet, or I would say probably a little bit closer to 2 miles. And I got out to 30,829 feet. That was my maximum distance, which equals 5.84 miles. And if you're familiar with the specs of Oxygen 2.0, it says the max range is 5 miles or 8 kilometers. So I went almost a mile further than that advertised distance. And I probably could have gone a little bit further, but I turned around as soon as it said that I had a weak antenna signal or weak antenna strength. I had about 63% battery and I was cruising out at 45 miles per hour and I didn't feel any wind, so I thought I'd be good coming back, but I miscalculated a little bit and the battery just started draining a lot faster, and I think my maximum speed was around 35 miles per hour. So I thought that it would have been good, but things started looking really terrible. I mean, I was like almost 2 miles out with probably like 10% battery, and I just knew that my drone was going down. Like, it was probably the worst feeling I've ever had out of ever flying my drone. Now, Charles Island was very close, and I was trying to land it on Charles Island, and look at this screen recording right here. I mean, I was so close to landing it on that island, and then I just totally lost signal. Now, I probably could go out there and try to find it somehow, although today it's raining. I really didn't want to get wet, and to be honest, with just how rough the water's been, I don't think that I would end up flying or finding it. I think that it was probably about 50 feet or maybe 100 feet away from the island, and it just really sucks seeing that I was that close. I mean, instead of making this video here, I could have been making a video of me going to rescue my drone on that island. That would have been badass, but instead, I'm sitting here talking about how I lost the drone. So that right there is basically the story. I was trying to do a range test, and I didn't make it back, and the drone is now in the water. So there's a couple of things to be said about this, a couple of things that I can kind of take away from it. Even though it was a very expensive mistake, the Mavic 2 Pro is $1,500 now, although when it first came out, it was $1,449. So nonetheless, a very expensive mistake, but I did learn a couple of things from this. So first of all, Oxygen 2.0 is incredible. I mean, I almost got 6 miles of flight time out over the bay, over the Long Island Sound, and getting that type of range out of a drone like the Mavic 2 Pro is seriously incredible. I mean, the only thing that really limits it is the battery life, which sucks. I mean, 31 minutes is really nothing to stick your nose up at. It's really good, although the battery life is what limits it. You can really fly this drone pretty far. So that's the first thing. The drone's range is just incredible, and Oxygen 2.0 is really a huge upgrade over the Oxygen 1.0 transmission system. But another thing I want to touch on is that the battery of the drone can stay on 0% for a pretty good amount of time. So when I was flying, I kind of thought that once I hit 0%, that was it. The drone was flying from the ground, but it seems that DJI has added some sort of buffer. So you know how sometimes when you're driving around, you can drive on 0 miles to empty for maybe 10 or 12 miles, whatever it may be for your specific car. Well, with the drone, you can fly on 0% for probably like a couple of minutes. Now, don't quote me on that. I don't know exactly how much time you get when on 0%, but I was flying on 0% for like a pretty good amount of time. I'm not sure what the exact buffer that DJI included is. Maybe it's like as soon as you get to a certain voltage or a certain milliamp hour amount within your battery, the drone continues to fly for a little bit. Like, it kind of has a reservoir at the end Don't quote me on that, but I found it pretty interesting that you can continue to fly on 0% for a good amount of time. Now, the final thing I want to go over, and it's something that I really do preach, is to always fly your drone safely. Now, I was flying over water. There was no fear of me accidentally hitting somebody, no fear of me accidentally flying the drone over somebody or anything like that. So the test I was doing, in my opinion, is totally safe. Being able to fly the drone out, again, that far really did give me some good information. But also, it really does make you think back and look at how safely you're flying drones. So for me, I should have probably checked the headwind first. I should have probably done a flight initially with the drone, tested out what the wind was like, and then loaded a new battery in before I went and did the range test. But I was a little bit gung-ho and just went for it. I wish I didn't. I'd probably still have my Mavic 2 Pro right now, although at the end of the day, it really does give us some good information to look at. So the Mavic 2 Pro has been like one of my favorite drones that I've ever flown. Just a quick summary here. The final stats of that drone, my total flight time was 24 hours and 23 minutes. This is the drone that I've flown the most. I don't have a drone with over 24 hours of flight time. My total distance was 1,239,771 feet, and I had a total flight count of 137 with this drone. So it was a great drone. I love it. And that means that I'm definitely going to be getting a new one, although my Mavic 2 Pro videos might be a little bit delayed as I need to save up the funds to actually go ahead and purchase that. So I'm going to make something work. I'll keep you guys updated on what happens with my Mavic 2 Pro adventures, as I always do with my other drones that have either broken or crashed or anything like that. So as of right now, I am Mavic 2 Pro-less, although that's not going to put a stint in the videos coming out, or it's not going to hinder the videos coming out, as I'm always going to be bringing content to you guys, and I might focus on something like the Mavic 2 Zoom for a while, or maybe even go back to the Inspire 2, as I've been flying that a lot, and it is a ton of fun. But guys, that wraps up the video. Hope you enjoyed the story. I'll keep you guys posted on what happens with the Mavic 2 Pro, and I'll just talk to you guys later.